Well, hello, everybody. I'm Tara Bachland, and this is the first Micro Mastery podcast. And here with me today are my husband, John Bachland, and Alex Madsen.
That's
So
us.
that's you guys.
We're the crew. We're the crew. This is the Micro Mastery podcast, and we are the M5 Micro crew. Our full name of our company is Minnesota Micro Molding, Machining, and Manufacturing, M5.
It's a mouthful.
Don't add more M's. We can't change the logo now. So what we're doing here today is we're launching our podcast, Micro Mastery, because we are launching a new school online so that people can learn in our trade, and young people coming up into the trade can learn about micro machining, how it works, how it's done, the ins, the outs, the practical application on the machines behind us and other machines you can't see, and also the theories and the ideas behind what we've done for the last 14 years that I've worked with Alex and the last 34 years that I've been in the trade. So, little synopsis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I've been with John for quite a while. I started out machining for a guy I went to church with, actually. And he was making RC car parts in his garage and selling them on eBay. And then I got hooked up with John, and things kind of took off from there.
So you almost got your start in micro.
Yeah.
Micro car parts.
In a way, yeah.
There you go.
In a way.
There must have been some tiny features on those too.
Yeah, not compared to what we're doing these days.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
yeah, I mean, at that time, an 1/8-inch end mill was pretty small.
Yeah.
So.
Some of the parts we make now, you can't even see them. We have to have their stub on the parts to be able to carry them over to the microscope to inspect them. Right. So that's what we're talking about. Really small stuff.
Yeah. Little parts.
Yeah. Even some of the gauge quality tooling we make when we're making larger parts, the tolerances are so fine, the finishes are so fine, we consider that micro also. And with that, you do need the quality machines, and you also need to think a different way. So when you come from standard machining into our trade, from standard machining into micro machining, I should say, you need to shift your thought process. And so with our school, we're also doing design for micro manufacturing, because we get a lot of stuff these days that is designed very small but is not very manufacturable.
Correct. Yeah, that it might look good on a computer, but to have it match an actual what you can do with a tool and what's out there available for tooling even doesn't always work out. So.
Right. And Tara and I have been married for 23 years. So Tara, you've been around this trade now for 23 years. What have you learned, and what do you think about it?
I think it's absolutely amazing. I grew up in an environment where my dad and his brothers were very mechanical. My dad's an engineer. I loved going out in the garage and seeing what he was up to. And I think I got a more hands-on approach and practical skills that way. And even spent a summer between high school and marrying you, because I didn't go right to college or anything. I just hopped on the John train, which was awesome. Very exciting. And spent a summer actually working in the tool crib. So got probably more of a familiarity into this field than sometimes you can't plan out your path. And so it's been interesting how those little pieces have come together along the way. And so it wasn't totally foreign when, I saw you guys doing your stuff, but it's absolutely amazing. I just commented on a LinkedIn post today that it's always exciting when I get called down, because it's not too often that I'll be called down from the office and it's like, hey, Tara, look what we made, because you're doing it every day. So it's, maybe what's incredible to me is not always incredible to you, but I know if I get called down, it's something extra amazing. And typically, I think anyone can appreciate when something is teeny tiny, and you're like, you're like, can you see these features? I'm like, I can barely see them. And you have to look at them in a microscope. And then especially if you know, because you don't always get told what these parts are, what they're for, but especially if you know, and like, wow, this is going into a device that is going to help with a heart transplant or something like that, you kind of get a sense of, this is really significant. This is not just a piece of plastic or a piece of metal. This is something that is totally life-changing for someone.
Yeah, and you like you said, you got a job at Eaton Corporation, so that's a big manufacturing company. And you're actually a linguist, so you've had jobs being a translator and an interpreter and an English as a second language teacher. And then you were working at this big corporation. So you're kind of in the shop environment. And that's something that Alex and I have always enjoyed, is the shop environment. I think it's one of the funnest places to work because it's mostly all guys. So you could joke about tons of stuff. You can have a lot of fun. You can, and you generally are chatting about the things that the other guys like too, motorsports, hunting, trucks, digging holes in your backyard with backhoes, stuff like that.
Whatever you're doing that.
Right.
Yeah, whatever's going on. Well, fortunately, with my dad kind of giving me a good background into what things were, I at least questioned when they came into the tool crib and were asking, because they were asking for end mills and inserts and so forth. And someone was being smart one day, because they're always trying to joke, especially with the girl, right? I wrote on the slip, no, they probably didn't write it on the slip anyways, they're like, I want a 50-gallon barrel of air. And I'm like, I see barrels back there, but I doubt that that's actually a thing. But they're so serious, and my job was to get the parts. So I was like, well, all right, I don't know about this. Yeah, what's the part number? And they're like, it doesn't have one. It's just so rare that we need one. And so, of course, then I have to go to the manager who's like, yeah, they're trying to pull one on you. And so I at least had enough common sense to doubt it, but I still had to check. So yes, that's the shop environment.
They were very serious about the joke. You should have came out carrying nothing. You're like, oh,
I should have.
Put it on the counter. There's your barrel of air.
Totally. I should have. Well,
We've had quite a few parts over the years that if we followed tolerances, they didn't have to exist.
There's that.
You get a 5 thou diameter part with a plus or minus 5 thou block tolerance, and we could give you air and it meets print. So.
Alex is actually bringing up it sounds funny, but he's bringing up a very serious point about how people design things. And that's something we're going to talk about and we're going to teach in our school is GD&T, geometric dimensioning and tolerancing, which was created by Honeywell. Back in the day when Honeywell started growing for the war effort, they started using shops all over the country, and they realized that they were getting parts back that wouldn't go together. And so they contracted with a guy named Lowell Foster, and he did the first GD&T class. And my father, who was a tool maker for 55 years, was in that class for the first GD&T lessons in the trade. And so our company has grown up with a serious knowledge and appreciation for design, for GD&T. And that's something that's going to be a big part of the teaching in our online school, which is M5 micromachiningonline.com, all one word. M5 micromachiningonline.com. So now you'll be able to go there and sign up for the first course, which is actually launching today.
Exciting.
It's very exciting.
It is exciting.
It's been a labor of love, and it's been a lot of work. And so we're just 3 guys in the shop. Our other machinist is doing other things right now. And so me and Alex, along with Tara's help and her team, her marketing team, have put this site together. And we're excited to have it grow, and for everybody that comes and wants to join to grow with us as the site grows. So yeah, it's exciting. We're excited.
Speaking of parts going together, you have a monthly class that is a month-by-month project build that will build to a greater an assembly.
Yes. So you want me to explain it, I'm assuming.
I was handing it off. You can best explain it better than I.
Alex's Siri is going off in his pocket. I don't know if you heard that, but we're hearing it. Phone's off, Alex.
First podcast. What can I say?
Gonna have to put his phone in a Faraday bag now.
Yeah.
So yeah, our first class. Why don't you start describing what it is?
So it's going to be an assembly. We're not going to disclose yet what that assembly is. It's going to be kind of fun. Let guys figure out what it all comes.
One part each month is the first class.
Yep. So we'll have one part each month. We're going to release the print and models right away at the beginning of the month, and then they can download those, work with them on their own, however which they want. Towards the end of the month, then I'll put out a video of how I build it, with how I recommend to do it, all those things. And then once we reach the end of the 12-month project, it'll all be an assembly that goes together to check your tolerances and how well you did.
And each month we're going to have a live Q&A over Zoom that people can plug into. So just to reiterate what Alex said, on the first Tuesday of the month, the model and the print are going to drop online. You'll be able to download them. And they'll actually be a free download also. So buyers, engineers, students, people that aren't going to build them can follow along with what we're doing. You have to pay for the course to get the video and to be involved in the live Q&A, but you can follow along, get into the community, ask a few questions, even if you're not paying. And we welcome that because we want to teach. We don't want another generation of machinists and tool makers, designers, engineers to retire unless their skills are being taught. Everybody can look around in America right now and see what's going on, and we're losing a lot of skill over the last 20 years. My dad retired from the company having taught us, but not having taught a broad, group of people. He's had lots of people under him over the years,
right?
But not in a structured format did he let his knowledge go. And we can consult with him, so he's still part of what we're doing. But that knowledge needs to be passed along, and you don't get it by going to trade school, do you?
No. I went to trade school for a year, 1 year, and I mean, it was a waste of my money and time, essentially. But I'm sure a few things I picked up out of there. But
yeah, you did, and you didn't need the structured environment to learn. You're a very dynamic, creative learner, which is what happened to me. I grew up in the trade. I literally went to trade school for about 6 months and kind of put my hands up and said, yeah, this isn't helping me, because I was already in the shop making more parts than I was in school.
I was doing it before I went to school. So I went into school knowing how to, we had an instructor that did a lot of stuff for Tonka, building dies and stuff, and really great background and great knowledge on that stuff. But it's like, man, CNC machines have come out. Like, he was very stuck in the old ways, which is a great foundation, but you got to be willing to change with the times a little bit. Just because something's been made the same way for 30 years doesn't mean that's the only way to make it.
Yeah. You can still make it with a die, but you could run faster machines. You could run more automatic machines. You could palletize across your shop.
Correct.
And not lose any tolerance from machine to machine. And that's some of the stuff we're going to teach. One other aspect we should talk about, since we're promoting so many things, let's keep promoting. We are going to open our shop to on-site training. And so what we're bringing to this on-site training literally is 55 years of my dad's knowledge, 34 years of my knowledge, 14 years of Alex's knowledge, and our ramp up into modern technology. The machines you see behind us here are Kern. They're a German machine. They're spelled Kern. And these are high precision machines, very accurate, temperature cooled in all axes, plus the spindle. Plus there's oscilloscopes on every axis of the machine. So we can fine tune this machine. So if we have any vibration, or if we're breaking cutters oddly, a 5 thousandths diameter cutter tends to break if there's vibration anywhere, right? So we're gonna bring that to the public, to the masses that want to come and learn our online school, our in-person school, on-site, and teach our processes throughout the shop, which is going to make in my opinion, it's going to elevate our trade. It's going to escalate the compounding at which companies can design small parts and get them built. Companies like ours, small companies, can buy very expensive equipment because they'll have the job to do. They'll have the knowledge with which to do the jobs. And so that's part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, you were just agreeing with, I heard you agree.
Just agreeing with what you had to say.
Well, Alex just recently wrote a great blog about end mills and broken end mills and how it's just the bane of existence of all machinists, that it's going to happen. But he gave some great tips. Obviously, the course is going to have more details because there are many details.
Did you see the picture at the top of that blog?
Yeah, it was the box.
That's literally a box of stubs from broken micro end mills. So when people go to that blog, they're going to see hundreds of broken end mill shanks.
Do you want to equate that to dollars?
I was going to ask the same question.
I don't want to equate that to dollars because you're looking at anywhere from $30 to $130 to $330 per micro end mill.
Yes.
So that box is probably almost a year's income for.
It's an expensive box.
It's a very expensive box. But that's over the years and that's over time.
Yes.
I think the box was actually lightened up. I saw some brown on the bottom, so I think a few might have been taken out of it, or it was a new box.
It might be a new box, but still plenty there. Yeah, no. In this micro world, you're gonna break cutters. You can't avoid it. You just got to be able to move past that. It's a part of the process. You're gonna break a cutter. You just need to take that instance and learn from it, figure out what caused that to happen so it doesn't happen again, and just change every variable as you need to, and you get it figured out. Patience.
Part of the reason why you need advanced equipment, because these machines will check and make sure the cutter is still there, because some of these cutters are so small, and we'll show pictures on our site, on our school. Some of these cutters are so small you can't even hardly see them with the naked eye.
Right. And
when they're in the cut, you can't tell.
No, you can't tell at all, especially in an instance where you're running coolant or if we have an oil mist running. There's a few chips, I call them chips, but a lot of other people probably call it dust, right?
Dust.
I mean, there's grinding swarf up front that is coarser than the chips we have back here. So very small stuff, but I mean, you have to be delicate loading the tools. I mean, I know you've done it. I broke several in my thumb.
Yeah.
And then you got to dig them out of there underneath the microscope, these tiny little cutters. And then you do get one loaded and you go cut hardened steel with it. It's mind-boggling with these tooling companies, the stuff they're coming out with. But
part of the reason, again, I stress the equipment, and that's a class, why you need this certain type of equipment, because if you just start your foray into micro and your standard commodity style equipment, and I'm not going to name names, but we all know the commodity machines, right?
Right.
You're going to just break end mills. You're not going to know why. You're not going to be able to tune them, fine tune your feeds and speeds or your motions so that they work very well. And your end mill expense will continue to rise, which will outstrip sometimes the job profit. So then you'll think you can't do it. Yeah.
So John.
Yes.
And Alex, I have a question for you. So is it maybe a bit different scenario if you're in a big company, but John's a manager owner. And so how do you guys communicate? How do you manage, what is an okay amount of broken end mills or broken tooling? And how do you deal with that between the two of you?
I just yell at Alex and stomp out of the room.
Yeah.
That's no, we have a great relationship, and I've always been the kind of owner that says, figure it out, get it right. I throw my ideas in, and when he gets it, he goes, got it. And if it's one end mill or if it's the whole job is run off of the first end mill, it evens out and balances out. So as a business owner, I know the expense, right? I mean, we're looking at machines that are more than $500,000 each sitting behind us. And, so a $30 end mill or $130 end mill is a fraction of the cost of the equipment that we use to cut. But we started with machines that cost less money and had some high accuracy, but couldn't do ultimately some of the work. So we graduated up the scale as we went. And that's part of what we teach too, because you can enter this type of field at a lower level of cost. And then, but you need to know you're going to bust more end mills and
Right.
lower cost equipment. And so,
But and a large part of our education is because we started on a more commodity machine. You really have to figure out all the variables and what's causing that cutter to break or that surface finish to not be correct in order to change them and get it right. And that's helped us on this side. It really makes it, years of experience. We don't break as many end mills as we did in the beginning, but I still, if I'm making 2 parts, I'm going to probably order, if it's a small cutter that I'm not familiar with in that material, I'm probably going to order 4 cutters to try that job, And I say as a whole, like, we don't always come out ahead on every job. Sometimes it's like, oh crap, well, I guess we're ordering more cutters and they're in Japan and we're going to have to wait an extra week for them, but it evens out.
well, and that's part of what, it does even out. And that's part of the experience of starting into a new field. Micro is in, spots in our field, right? Mostly at very large companies in the skunk works, they're doing micro. Now the average shop is starting to foray into it, and we want them to have success, because as everything gets smaller, general shops are going to have to get smaller with their work, their knowledge is going to have to change. And that's why we're opening up like we are, because we are a premier micro shop in the field. Our tooling manufacturers tell us, our cutting manufacturers tell us, our customers tell us.
Right.
Our customers regularly say, how come you guys are the only ones that will even quote this job? Or how come you are the only ones we can find that will do it? And then our backlog gets huge and we can't service all the customers. We want these customers to be serviced. We want, when you get into this field and you're working with medical companies, say they're trying to make things smaller so it's less invasive for the surgery. That's a good feeling as a person that you're helping, like you said in the beginning, Terry, you're helping the field help people. So instead of having to crack open the chest to put a heart valve in, now they can go up the femoral artery in the leg and go to the heart and put a heart valve on and sew it and do everything. And, we're part of that. We made products that are part of that development. And it's really nice to know that, now recovery times are weeks instead of months or years.
I've heard that a word that comes up often is the impossible. You do what it has been considered impossible, and that others, even top machining or especially molding, micro molding, would consider impossible or just simply no quote it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we do micro molding. We'll save that for our next. If everyone hits our website, m5-micro.com, that's our business website for our shop, they'll see our micro molding. We have a patented desktop micro molding system that competes, rivals, and exceeds anything in the market.
Yes.
And we're literally actually patent licensing for that technology right now to companies all over the United States. So there's been too many sales pitches on this podcast.
Well, I can take a dial it back a moment. We're in Minnesota, where we all grew up in the country, basically, or totally. And so, I grew up next to cornfields, and my schoolmates, usually were either they worked on the farm or they were, modifying a truck or, doing all kinds of stuff like this. And so I think it kind of prepared me for this culture, right? To be in the shop environment, you have to have a certain grit in a way. And as you were talking about the different levels of machines, I was thinking, and how you got started on more maybe commodity machines, that is just like the young men that I remember that would take a car and just modify it. And it's like they were taking something that was, quote, basic, but maybe had a great engine and just wanted to modify it, or a body, or, but tweak it for themselves. And so as you were talking about like doing the impossible on these commodity like machines, I'm thinking of like them modifying the old Oldsmobile or something to perform in a race, and making it work.
Yeah, we literally, we're not going to teach a ton of stuff here, but literally we would map out the machines to find out where they're tight, where they're loose, where they perform well, where, and you had to do that on the commodity machine.
We kind of made a Frankenstein setup with a more jig grinder spindle
right,
and a machine. So
right. For our first micro
for our first micro show,
yeah, we had mods. We definitely had mods. Yeah.
I have a couple more questions for you guys. That would you like the fun kind of question, or would you like the more serious kind of question first?
Let's go serious first and end on fun.
Okay, sounds good. So, John, you hinted at that, the mission, in a sense, of the M5 Micro Machining Online is to really help to carry forward this knowledge, and so that the next generation of machinists can evolve and excel with the technology that is just growing tremendously, that we need to actually translate that into the physical parts, right, that are really benefiting human beings. But I've also heard you talk about there are even more deeper reasons behind the mission of this, taking this into the educational realm, rather than being the top business that is making these parts, why you're teaching how to make them.
Well, if you've heard a few of those, why don't you point them out, and I'll decide if I want to comment on them. You can say whatever you want.
Well, for sure, that whether in the machining realm, the personality of the machinist is, I've got my skills, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to have the edge in the market. Or if they're just so focused that they don't take the time to teach someone else, it could be a few reasons within that realm. But you've also mentioned that as a country, we need to be able to, at least within our own country, have this skill set. Although you have not been opposed in helping certain other countries or business in other countries, but that there's kind of a personal mission to that as well.
Well, first of all, being a machinist, being a tool maker or a mold maker is one of the most clinically studied, one of the most stressful jobs there is. Because when you're a tool maker or a mold maker, you're doing finishing work. And when you're finishing a product, that's when there's the most cost in that product. That's when there's the most time in that product. Everybody in the shop may have touched that product, and you're the tool maker. You're the guy that is finishing that up and fine tuning it. And if you make a mistake, it could be a $10,000 mistake. It could be a $50,000 mistake. It could be a $100,000 mistake. You have to have a clear mind. You have to have a knowledge of what you're doing. So it's a very deep process when anybody is finishing something, right? The finished painter on a car, the finished carpenter in a house, when you're putting those finishing touches on and you're the guy that is approving it and you're testing it, your knowledge base has to be vast. And what has happened in our country over the last 25 to 30 years, when they started outsourcing, before they started outsourcing work from America, they started categorizing job positions, right? So a guy like my dad, who was a tool maker, the reason he started his own company was his company started doing that. And they started putting people on a single machine. Instead of a guy like Alex who can run every machine in the shop, or a guy like me who can run every machine in the shop, or my father, they started saying, well, Alex, you're really good on the jig grinder. That's where you're going to be for the next 15 years. And so this guy has a ton of knowledge about a jig grinder, but nothing about anything else in the shop. That destroyed our market ability, our ability in the market to do all these tasks across the board. It made companies very efficient, and it allowed the accountants to account for every penny being spent in the company. But that destroyed the creativity. It destroyed the dynamic ability of the company to invent and create. And so in our company, that's why Alex is sitting here being able to run every machine in the shop and design and use the CAD system, the CAM system, because I've focused in my company on every machinist designs. Every machinist can go in and make changes when it's allowed, right, on a model for manufacturing. And that's huge, and that just wraps both of your questions into one. if we with the knowledge are not disseminating it to the next generation, we are hurting our own country. And we could get rich. We could say we're just going to do this and we're going to just continue to stack the cash in our pockets. But if we don't spread it around, I see and we see that it won't be there for us. We have to spread the knowledge so that the industry can continue to grow, which then means more work for everybody. There's not a limited amount of work. There's a limited amount of capability to get the work done. So the companies that are designing the parts, I just had a company the other week, they just trashed a project. They couldn't get everything done on the whole project. We were doing a portion of it. Other companies couldn't do it. And they were already into the $500,000 spent on the project, and they just scrapped the whole thing. They weren't going to be able to finish it. So we can't allow that. As tool makers in the field, as business owners, as a country, we can't allow it. We have to keep doing it. We have to keep pushing it out. So that's why a main reason why we're doing it. Yeah. So thank you for the serious question. Do you have any comments on that?
I mean, just to apply it to more current times than just the past tool making, kind of the same stuff with, you've got a CNC programmer, and then there's the guy who's setting up and running the machine, isn't even programming it always anymore. And it's so disassociated that, like you said, the creativity's gone. And that's what we need to foster, is the creativity, because the more creative people are out there, the more ingenuitive the designs are and everything is around us. So it really helps build everything.
Yeah, good point.
Well, I think that daily work, like you're talking about, being just slotted into, I even do with my team, I really try to integrate them more, and not just, they have their areas that they're obviously good at, and you're not going to have your web person necessarily doing help, but there's enough overlap that it keeps it interesting also, that if you're only on one task, you burn people out and they really lose their life to them. And in recent iterations of your shirt, John, of your company shirt, you have the courage to be creative.
Creativity takes courage.
Creativity takes courage.
I'll take this one, or this one might be on the back.
Oh yeah, we got the flag on the back, and it says creativity takes courage. That's our face, TM. What's up? Hashtag creativity takes courage. It does, because Terry, you and I have been married for 23 years, going on 24 years now, and you've watched it. You have been with me since I had my martial arts school. I was in the field for 16 years before I went full-time in martial arts and started teaching. And then I got back into machining and started my own company. And I borrowed $700 from you to pay rent on my martial arts school, and we were just dating. So you've seen me at my lowest financial point. You've been with me when the company's made millions of dollars, and you've seen the ups and downs and the risks that we've taken as a company, as a business owner. As Alex is part business owner now in all of our companies. And so we have 3 companies total that he's business owner, part owner in. And it's a big deal, and you have to take it seriously. You have to know what risks to take. You have to decide. Starting this school, we had to slow down work in our shop, because it's us. It's me and Alex building the site. We're doing the videos. We're doing the teaching. We're doing all that. Your team is going to help out with the marketing as we launch after today. And yeah, it's a team effort. Small companies see it. They see that everybody has to wear multiple hats, and it makes for a sharper person. It makes for someone that's more capable even in their own life. I don't want to dumb anyone down. I want to continue to lift people up and make them smarter and smarter. Yeah. So what's your fun question?
Yeah, I thought you'd be ready for that. So either professionally or in your hobby, what has been the project that you've been most proud of, and what about it? Everybody, you guys always.
I'm going to say something about Alex. Alex has another company outside of here, his own company, Madsen Machine, and that's run out of his facility, his garage, basically a big garage, and he has created products and sells them online, and he's very creative, and I've admired that about him as a young guy coming up, watching him. take that creative mantle and run with it. And it's really a awesome thing. And he's designed his own products. So that makes him really good at design here in our shop. And because he's using the same program at home, Fusion 360. And we're hoping to bring them on as a sponsor. We're in talks right now. So any 360 guys at Autodesk, talk to everybody, hit us up, because we believe that system is the system of the future. It's easiest for young guys to get into and use.
And we've used other softwares before.
Oh, totally.
We've brought ourselves to Fusion 360, and
we've used everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen Alex do some things on his own that are fun, that are intriguing, that help him make money on the side. And I encourage, as a business owner, I encourage that, because it made him sharper in this shop too.
Well, back in the days, you were known as Johnny Mod.
Johnny Mod.
Yeah, it's on my motocross helmets from racing motocross and professional snowcross. Johnny Mod was on my helmet. Yeah, modifying. I never was into modifying cars, but every motorcycle, every motocross bike, every snowmobile, every flat track racer quad. Yeah. Mountain bikes. Yeah.
2 wheels or no wheels.
4 wheels and quads, but a lot of times you're on the rear wheels, and in the corners you're on the outside wheels, and coming out of a corner, sometimes the inside wheels lifting, you're on 3 wheels. Yeah.
When put on the spot, I can't really think of like a specific project. I've been fortunate to be a part of so many projects in here and outside of here with other companies, through my company, different stuff like that. I just like being creative.
You
like
designed
stuff.
You designed that Polaris dually, that twin axle rear dually truck with or tracks, or what was it?
Yeah, we did. It was through connected to Polaris in a way, but it was we did that for the SEMA show in Vegas. We built a set of tracks for a big jacked up modified truck.
Yeah.
The 2-axle truck, that was for a company in Utah. That was for overkill racing and chassis, and that was a 6x6 truck. So.
Yeah. So you've been on some neat projects.
Yeah.
Because of your design capabilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through Fusion 360, I might add.
Yeah. Yes. So I can't really nail down one project. I just, as long as I can keep being creative and building things, I mean, that's what I really love to do.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what I love to do. And the thing I'm most proud of, honestly, and this sounds self-serving, but is being married to you for almost 24 years. That in today's environment and in today's world, I believe that's a very big accomplishment. And I'm very proud of that, and I'm proud that you're my wife, and I hope that it's reciprocated. Don't say it right now, otherwise I'll feel patronized.
No, it's just that you're accustomed to working with fine-tuning German machines that have lots of dials and buttons and are very finicky. So maybe that's the reason.
That's good. My German wife.
German
yes.
roots.
Logical
Yes.
humor.
Yes, you're American, but your heritage is German. Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of our ongoing joke, but make light of the situation.
Machines, German wife.
Yeah. Well, it always is fun and interesting. I joke that I'm well acquainted with the oh shit bars, good grip on that in life. And, if you don't, you just get tossed around. So, but I'm sure I wouldn't have it any other way. And this is certainly the start of, I think, a wonderful new adventure. I'm very excited for this, very excited for how this can serve and help not the machinists, engineers, designers, and so forth. And then for the end product, how much it can improve the end products in the industry and the products that can come about and improve the lives of people, because it's not being turned down by multiple companies, but there are more companies that can do it. And also, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Whenever we launch this podcast, it's June 1st today, we have an article coming out in Modern Machine Shop about our micromolding licensing. And that is a big story in and of itself. And you can read about that, and that'll be great. and there's lots of articles about us.
And that comes out
It's by the 4th of June.
Yeah. So
look
within the next few days.
In your latest edition of Modern Machine Shop, or go to Modern Machine Shop online, and you can read it there. And it'll be on our website too. But there is a lot of interest in what we're doing because our industry needs it. And a lot of the leaders in our industry that we're already talking to, they know that our industry needs it. And we're very happy to be offering it. Of course, we're going to make money with it, and yay, you got to make a living. But we're going to be disseminating this information in a way that is affordable and really ramps up the ROI for companies that want to invest in their people too. And regular, just one-off, people can do it too. So.
Right, continue their education in their free time. And, as machinists are, let's get to the point. So short, really condensed lessons, Q&As, lots of great resources. And we'll be staying tuned to what your feedback is and improve along the way. That's quality control. Quality
machinists by machinists.
Yes. I'm surprised we do a 45-minute podcast. We're so direct.
Yep.
Yeah, just find us online. Find Alex Madsen, John Bachland, send us questions. In the next podcast, we'll answer questions.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Sarah.
Bye.